everyone. My name's Tim Lee, and I'm the director and founder of Collaborate MK. And this is one of a series of interviews for members of Collaborate MK that have the gold membership option. And today I'm in conversation with Ian Taylor, regional director at Tinderbox. Hi, Ian. Great to see you.
Good morning, Tim. Great to see you too.
Yeah. So tell me, Ian, where did your career start exactly?
So, believe it or not, a long time ago, it started as a London bus driver. But I was, in the words of Love Actually, the film, I was so much more than just a bus driver. I was lucky enough at the time in my school days to achieve sponsorship through my university. I actually had the choice of which company would sponsor me. There were Ford, Rolls-Royce, or London Transport. And living in Margate at the time, I particularly wanted to go to the big smoke. So I chose the London Transport, which was a fantastic opportunity. We'll go into some of the reasons why it was fantastic. So they sponsored me through university, and I did a combined engineering course at City University in London, which was one of the best engineering universities around. I also did business administration as a degree, so I got a joint degree, which I was really pleased with.
Yeah.
And they paid me. So I wasn't on the normal student terms. I actually had a very, very good salary. It was a great start. So I was one of a small cohort on what was called a career development program. And this was heading towards a potential senior management position with London Transport. So, for example, that would mean I would manage one district within London Transport. There are 6 in the whole of London. So that could mean 10 to 12 bus garages, each with 150 buses, which is about 400 drivers because of the shift patterns, conductors in those days because it's all cash.
Of course.
I think a lot of the conductors thought their job was to take cash off the passengers, but a lot of the passengers thought their job was to take cash off the conductor. Grab the money bag, if you remember those people there. So then you've got all the fuel stuff, the tyre fitters, the bus mechanics, the scheduling people, the inspectors that go out and make sure it's all working properly. So quite a big job. And on the train side, so you might have 3 or 4 depots, each of which has got 100 trains, all the different drivers and mechanics, etc. Again, so a huge, great job. And one of their philosophies was that if you're going to be a senior manager, you've got to be proficient in all those jobs. So we went through a program where I was a bus driver, train driver, bus mechanic, fixing lifts and escalators. I did some HR, I did some supply chain. I actually took one of the big oil companies to court because they supplied a batch of Duff oil to the bus garages. And imagine the ramifications of gluing up and gumming up. I think London Transport used to run about 8,000 buses.
Oh,
so
wasn't bad thinking about.
Got quite interesting, really.
Yeah.
So a really interesting philosophy when you look at it today, and you think all the careers discussions about how you do career progression for individuals, that philosophy overriding, you're on a long-term career path, but you've got to be proficient in all the jobs. You can't have managers that don't understand and respect, for example, advert fixers. Advert fixers bring in the revenue, so one of the most important jobs. So that's where it all started, way back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. Oh, interesting stuff. So from there, sort of what led you to your role with Tinderbox now then?
So I mean, good question. So I've had a long, I think, distinguished career, and in the middle phase, as a consultant, I ended up doing a lot of interim jobs, and I don't know whether some of the listeners understand interim jobs, but effectively you are placed in an organisation at very, very short notice, normally because the person has been seconded off, resigned, or been sacked potentially. So you are literally, I mean, I've had lots of interviews, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, start tomorrow. Because you're not part of the organisation, so you're not joining as an employee. They don't have to do all the same checks. The agency has already done that, and you're employed on your track record.
I
had a whole series of jobs with Balfour Beatty, where I was responsible for all their bids and tenders, construction company, including the whole of Crossrail, Babcock, big engineering company based in Scotland, Canon, where I managed all their international business, including the development of the new 3D printing business across Europe.
Right.
And then SSE, the utility company.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I've done a whole series of those, and they're typically, please will you be an interim for 3 months whilst we recruit a permanent replacement?
Yeah.
And every single one of them turned into a 2-year job. With lots of offers of, would you like to take the job permanently? No, I wouldn't, because that's not what I do.
No.
But that's an interesting experience, because it's all about you, the individual. You are doing a role for the business. You haven't got a long-term position in the company. It can feel very isolated.
Yeah.
They're very high, what I call high-pressure jobs. So it's like 24/7, 365, very task and results focused. So you feel a bit like a commodity. It's like being in a goldfish bowl. You've got to deliver results, which is why they have interims. And we are well paid, so I can't complain about that. So the whole opportunity was great for developing my management skills, particularly people skills, strategy, etc. And dealing with people who are all working hard but not necessarily cohesively. And you do tend to get dropped into those roles because things aren't always going swimmingly well.
Yeah.
So at the end of that, I thought, actually, I'm more comfortable in a team environment. I want to get back to a team environment. And being a management consultant is a very individual, isolated profession anyway. So I looked for somewhere where I could be part of a team organisation. And Tinderbox is UK-wide. So it has regional directors around the country, I think about 20, 21. So immediately I'm one of 21 equals. Not everybody's got the same background, but there's a team of us that cover the whole UK as regional directors. And then behind us, we've got about 150 experts in all the different disciplines that you might come across. So whether that's supply chain, sales performance, contracts, etc., etc. So we trade on that blend of experience and expertise. But really, it was the team thing. So the great thing about Tinderbox is it's not about me. And when I have conversations now, I use the word we far more than I.
Crucial.
There's no I in team and all that.
That's it. Yeah. Brilliant. So what sort of services do you offer at Tinderbox to a business owner?
So all our services are bespoke. We offer bespoke consultancy. So we're not selling a product. We are genuinely trying to help a business become successful or more successful. And we focus as a company on that middle range of businesses that are in the 3 million to about 50 million turnover range. And essentially, we're offering the two things. So there's the experience of the regional directors. So in my case, I must have run 12 businesses as a leader, and some of those would be blue chip corporates. So BT, Siemens, Canon, SSE, Alpha BT. So I've been in corporate board leadership positions. I also run small businesses. I still run my own small business, providing PA systems for music festivals, which is a great business to be in. But it's that blend of experience and expertise. So it's a question of me talking to the customer generally about their business and putting together a plan where the right experts come in to deal with issues on a very, very short-term basis. So you're not hiring consultants over a long period. You're solving a problem. It's very much a project-based thing. So we'll come in, make a difference over a period of time, and then step back. Always there to support, but we'll step back. So that team approach avoids one of the pitfalls of the consultancy industry, which is the superhero consultant, where you meet a consultant that says they can do everything. Well, actually, they can't. I can't. So I'll be hugely honest about that. But I've got a team, and we can, and the emphasis on the we. So some examples of what we do. So we develop real business strategies. So get everybody going in the right direction, and that means addressing some brutal truths about the business.
Yeah.
Is there really a sustainable market for your business? Is that a growing market, or are you primarily there to take market share from a competitor? Skills of the management team is a common one. Sales performance is another common one. A lot of people say our salespeople aren't good enough. When did you last go out with them? When did you see what they do? Marketing, supply chain, all common things. So lots of common areas, but the emphasis is on the bespoke nature of what we do.
Brilliant. And what sort of challenges do you face with your clients?
Now, that is a great question. So I've watched a lot of the interviews you do with gold members, and they're an excellent resource if you want to dip into them and see what goes on. Very insightful. But it seems to me that there are some common problems, and the challenge that I'm going to outline is, I think, common to a lot of people. So the challenge is, it's seeing a business that clearly needs help, but for whatever reason, they don't want help. They can't find a way of contracting for the help, or whatever. They just don't take the help, and then you have to sit and watch while that business suffers. It's a bit like a patient in a hospital who declines medication and then they deteriorate. Probably no different to having a shop full of stock and not having enough customers, or running trains, which are very expensive to run, but not having enough passengers on them. It's a common problem. I think a lot of the gold members probably have that problem. So what would be interesting for me is whether we can somehow, to use your business's term, collaborate amongst the gold members and put aside our individual business and sector specialisms. There is a common issue, and if you can see a problem, how do you get people to address it?
Now that sounds like a really good panel question for one of our workshops. So that's something we can really look at. So brilliant. Now tell me, then, during your career, you must have had some funny moments during that time. So there have been so many, and because I've worked for a lot of well-known branded organisations, there's some I can talk about and some I can't talk about. No, absolutely.
Loads. Like I did make the front page of the Evening Standard once in London, having designed a tube train that was too big for the tunnel. A lot of detail, a lot of explanation. I'm not going to use that one in detail today. I'm going to use a different one at London Transport. So going back to the 80s, for those people that were familiar with that, this was the era of Ken Livingstone being the Mayor of London. We had a policy called fares fair as in the fare on a train. Being fair to the customer. And what that actually meant was he cut fares to the extreme. So it was super cheap to ride on the buses and trains, and the level of ridership went up. So it was a period where they had the maximum number of buses, maximum number of trains. They didn't have enough drivers trained because it's quite a specialist job. Therefore, they were developing a driverless train, which was known as FACT, F-A-C-T, fully automatically controlled train. And I joined London Transport a couple of years before, and I'd worked on that project. And it was nearing the point where the technology was resilient enough. I mean, the technology is fairly straightforward, but in that environment, in tube tunnels, you've got to have resilience. I mean, there's dust down there, there's rats, there's all sorts of tube tunnels. You wouldn't believe it. But in this example I'm going to give, we inadvertently were part of the first driverless train in an era where driverless trains technically were okay, politically were no-go, trade unions very anti, and the whole infrastructure wasn't based on driverless trains. So on this particular day, we were actually doing some tests on the train. It was on the Victoria Line, Green Park Station. and we were in the station just tweaking a few things.
Yeah.
Driver in those days had to press 2 buttons simultaneously to start the train, which he did. Nothing happened. So he goes through all these checks. And we're thinking, is the technology all okay? You know, are we going to get into trouble here? So he did all these checks, which included he has to look out of his cab window and look down the length of the train platform. And what he saw was somebody halfway down the train with a suitcase halfway through the doors. So, because he didn't know how all the technology worked, he got out of his cab, walked down the train, helped the passenger get the suitcase in the doors. Door closed, interlock circuit made. He'd already pressed the 2 blue buttons. Train drives off.
Oh my word!
Driver on platform. Oh dear. Now, that is the acid test for me of whether you're confident in your own skills. So we're on the train, but nowhere near the driving cab. We're way down, and we're sitting thinking, that was the driver we've just passed as we go out of Green Park. Of course, the next station's a nice little quiet country station called Victoria. So train beautifully drives itself into the next station and stops perfectly in the platform. Doors don't open because there's nobody to open them. And we later found out that all the station staff saying there must be something wrong. The doors aren't opening. And simultaneously, the driver is at Green Park ringing everybody he can think of to say, my train's just gone off down the tunnel.
My word.
It did appear in the national press.
Yeah.
We kept very quiet that we were on the train, and we could have stopped the train if we needed to, but we were monitoring all the equipment, and you could see it was actually doing everything it was supposed to. So there you go. Nothing like testing in real life. Situation.
No, but there's a few brows sweating there in that situation. Oh my word! Right. Well, thank you so much, Ian. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you today, and look forward to seeing you at the next event and our next workshop as well. So brilliant. Thank you so much, Ian.
Thank you. Very enjoyable. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.